If you like this video, please give a thumbs up and subscribe. Hit the bell icon to be notified of new videos. Overview. Edit. Mainstream scientists reject claims that the phenomenon literally occurs as reported. However, there is little doubt that many apparently stable persons who report alien abductions believe their experiences were real. John E. Mack, John Wilson, Rima Libo, and David Goblib assessed that while psychopathology was associated with some cases, most reports were from sane, common people. 10, 11, 12. Some abduction reports are quite detailed. An entire subculture has developed around the subject, with support groups and detailed mythos explaining the reasons for abductions, the various aliens, greys, reptilians, Nordics, and so on, are said to have specific roles, origins, and motivations. Abduction claimants do not always attempt to explain the phenomenon, but some take independent research interest in it themselves and explain the lack of greater awareness of alien abduction as the result of either extraterrestrial or governmental interest in the cover-up. History. Edit. Abductees. Edit. Abduction narrative. Edit. Trauma and recovery. Edit. Most people alleging alien abductions report invasive examinations of their bodies, 46, and some ascribe psychological trauma to their experiences. 47. Post-abduction syndrome is a term used by abductees to describe the effects of abduction, though it is not recognized by any professional treatment organizations. 47. People who have a false memory which makes them believe that they have been abducted by aliens develop symptoms similar to post-traumatic stress disorder. People who believe they have been abducted by aliens usually have previous New Age beliefs, a vivid fantasy life, and suffer from sleep paralysis, according to a 2003 study by Harvard University. 48. Support groups. Edit. Support groups for people who believed they were abducted began appearing in the mid-1980s. These groups appear throughout the United States, Canada, and Australia. 49. Hypnosis. Edit. Many alien abductees recall much of their alleged abductions through hypnosis. 50. Due to the extensive use of hypnosis, and other methods which they view as being manipulative, skeptics explain the abduction narratives as false memories and suggestions. 51. Criticism. Edit. Alleged abductees seek out hypnotherapists to try to resolve issues such as missing time or unexplained physical symptoms such as muscle pain or headaches. This usually involves two phases: an information gathering stage, in which the hypnotherapist asks about unexplained illnesses or unusual phenomena during the patient's lives, caused by or distortions of the alleged abduction, followed by hypnosis and guided imagery to facilitate recall. The information gathering enhances the likelihood that the events discussed will be incorporated into later abduction memories. 52. 7 steps are hypothesized to lead to the development of false memories. 51. A person is predisposed to accept the idea that certain puzzling or inexplicable experiences might be telltale signs of UFO abduction. The person seeks out a therapist, whom he or she views as an authority and who is, at the very least, receptive to this explanation and has some prior familiarity with UFO abduction reports. Alternatively, the therapist frames the puzzling experiences in terms of an abduction narrative. Alternative explanations of the experiences are not explored. There is increasing commitment to the abduction explanation and increasing anxiety reduction associated with ambiguity reduction. The therapist legitimates or ratifies the abductee's experience, which constitutes additional positive reinforcement. The client adopts the role of the victim or abductee, which becomes integrated into psychotherapy and the client's view of self. Supportive arguments. Edit. Harvard psychiatrist John E. Mack counters this argument, noting it might be useful to restate that a large proportion of the material relating to abductions is recalled without the use of an altered state of consciousness and that many abduction reporters appear to relive powerful experiences after only the most minimal relaxation exercise, hardly justifying the word hypnosis at all. The relaxation exercise is useful to relieve the experience's need to attend to the social demands and other stimuli of face-to-face conversation, and to relieve the energies involved in repressing memories and emotion. 53. Perspectives. Edit main article. Perspectives on the abduction phenomenon. There have been a variety of explanations offered for abduction phenomena, ranging from sharply skeptical appraisals, to uncritical acceptance of all abductee claims, to the demonological, to everything in between. Some have elected not to attempt explanations, noting instead similarities to other phenomena, or simply documenting the development of the alien abduction phenomenon. Others are intrigued by the entire phenomenon but hesitate in making any definitive conclusions. The late Harvard psychiatrist John E. Mack concluded the furthest you can go at this point is to say there's an authentic mystery here. And that is, I think, as far as anyone ought to go. Emphasis. As in original 54, Mack was unconvinced by piecemeal counterclaims, however, and counted that skeptical explanations naturally need to take into account the entire range of phenomena associated with abduction experiences, up to and including missing time, directly contemporaneous UFO sightings, and the occurrence in small children. Putting aside the question of whether abduction reports are literally and objectively real, literature professor Terry Matheson argues that their popularity and their intriguing appeal are easily understood. Tales of abduction are intrinsically absorbing. It is hard to imagine a more vivid description of human powerlessness. After experiencing the frisson of delightful terror one may feel from reading ghost stories or watching horror movies, Matheson notes that people can return to the safe world of their homes, secure in the knowledge that the phenomenon in question cannot follow. But as the abduction myth has stated almost from the outset, there is no avoiding alien abductors. 56. Matheson writes that when compared to the earlier contactee reports, abduction accounts are distinguished by their relative sophistication and subtlety, which enabled them to enjoy an immediately more favorable reception from the public. Some writers, 57, 58, have said abduction experiences bear similarities to pre-20th century accounts of demonic manifestations, noting as many as a dozen similarities. 59. One notable example is the Orthodox monk Father Seraphim Rose, who devotes a whole chapter in his book Orthodoxy and the Religion of the Future, 60, to the phenomena of UFOs and abductions, which, he concludes, are manifestations of the demonic. 61. Testimonials. Edit. Abduction researcher Brian Thompson claims that a nurse acquaintance of his reported that during 1957 in Cincinnati she encountered a 3-foot-tall, 0.91 meters, praying mantis-like entity 2 days after a V-shaped UFO sighting. 43. This mantis-like creature is reminiscent of the insectoid-type entity reported in some abduction accounts. 43. He related this report to fellow researcher Leonard Stringfield. 43. Stringfield told him of 2 cases he had in his files where separate witnesses reported identical circumstances in the same place and year. 43. While some corroborated accounts seem to support the literal reality of the abduction experience, others seem to support a psychological explanation for the origins of the phenomenon. Jenny Randles and Keith Basterfield both noted at the 1992 MIT Alien Abduction Conference that of the 5 cases they knew of where an abduction researcher was present at the onset of an abduction experience, the experiencer didn't physically go anywhere. 62. Brazilian researcher Gilda Moura reported on a similar case, the Sully case, from her home country. When psychologist and UFO researcher Don Donderi said that these cases were evidence of psychological processes that did not have anything to do with a physical alien abduction, Moura replied, "If the Sully case is not an abduction, I don't know what is an abduction anymore." 62. Gilda Moura noted that in the Brazilian Sully case during the abduction UFOs were observed. 62. Later, she claims the experiencer had eye burns, saw lights and there seemed to be residual poltergeist activity. 62. Attempts at confirmation. Edit. Further information. Alien implants. It has been argued that if actual flesh and blood aliens are abducting humans, there should be some hard evidence that this is occurring. 3. Proponents of the physical reality of the abduction experience have suggested ways that could conceivably confirm abduction reports. One procedure reported occurring during the alleged exam phase of the experience is the insertion of a long needle-like contraption into a woman's navel. 5. Some have speculated that this could be a form of laparoscopy. 5. If this is true, after the abduction there should be free gas in the female's abdomen, which could be seen on an X-ray. 5. The presence of free gas would be extremely abnormal and would help substantiate the claim of some sort of procedure being done to her.